that out later, I guess. Yeah, it's good to be back. You know, just think about the season and how it ended, and you know, for us in college wrestling, like you as soon as the season ends, you just jump right into the freestyle season. So it's really continues to go. Here next week, we go to the Junior Worlds with Landon and Drayshawn in Slovakia, which would be obviously a really great opportunity for them. The Junior Worlds is 20 under World Championships, and you know, historically, guys that wrestle in there and do well, you know, obviously it's a really good indicator for continued success, not only in college but internationally. It's a pretty tough. It's a tough team to make, and you know, we've had a lot of success at the 20 under level as a country, so that'll be a great opportunity for them to compete. Then we obviously school starts, and you know, we're rolling, you know, which is it's exciting. Summer went fast, it's been really good. You know, obviously excited for what's coming.
Your timing in becoming a head coach seems pretty good with that new 5-for-5 eligibility rule. When you saw that, did you like, yeah, that sounds pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like in the last 2 years of 2.5 years or whatever, 2 years of being a coach, like how much change has happened. You know, it's like we were on this like cusp of change, and there were changes, and then it's like the fallout of those changes. You know, it's just like continued to just change, right? So I just think evolution. I think that's a strength of our staff and our program. Is I think we are good with adapting to what's going on, and I think when you're recruiting, you know, that couple classes. I mean, I think everyone was asking questions about 5-for-5, but you know, there's really no way to plan for it until it gets approved, and I think it's good. You know, I think it just gives a lot more stability. Like you start and then you just go. You know, like in my last year, you know, you guys are asking us all these questions about these young kids, and we had to protect the 5 dates with the freshmen, you know, and now guys can just wrestle, you know, like they can wrestle a match or first semester and second semester and in open tournaments and duels, and I think it's a lot better. You know, guys stay ready and they can go wrestle, and as we iron it out, I think it's much better for wrestling just to know the term of when guys are going to be wrestling.
How valuable is it to the kids though, because you do get that extra year of just being in this competitive environment for whatever you're building for?
I mean, you did it before. I mean, everyone had, you know, eventually 4 years to wrestle in 5 years, you know, so that doesn't change. It's just how the red shirt has evolved, you know, like when I was in school, like when you redshirted, you don't get any varsity matches. Everything's on your own. Like you gotta, on your own, get in the car and drive to an open tournament and wrestle, and it was completely on your own. So being a redshirt was hard, you know, and then in the last, you know, I don't know, last decade, these young kids, these true freshmen have come in and had a ton of success. Like you used to not really see true freshmen compete. It was so foreign. Now it's pretty standard, you know, across the board. Guys are just good and they can go. And then you have the thing where you can wrestle the 5 dates, which was great, get guys competition, but you had to be really selective of how to do that and balance it, especially like when you have a young team like we've had. Well, now it's just, people can just wrestle. They can put on our singlet and they can compete. You don't have to, you know, work around all that other stuff. So I think it's good. I think it's great for our team. You know, we obviously have a lot of different lineup combinations that potentially could happen that, you know, ultimately it's in the kids' hands and how those will get ironed out, who will wrestle, but everyone will just stay ready to go. You know, we have, you know, a great schedule this year where guys can get a lot of opportunities to compete, and as always, we're just going to work on fielding our best team at the national tournament.
You mentioned the young guys. Can you talk about some of the guys coming in, the Ramey twins, Drayshawn Ross, and those guys?
Yeah, I mean, we have a great group that's here right now. I mean, just kind of, I think those last couple of groups are pretty talented, just really talented. You know, we've seen a lot of success from them across the country, you know, and that group's coming in. They're doing great. They're doing great, and, you know, they're definitely looking forward to the season.
With 5-for-5, do you think that's going to help open tournaments? Do you think this is going to be one of the more fun open tournament years?
It definitely could be. You know, we'll just see. You know, I think there's, yeah. I mean, it's hard to predict. You know what's going to happen, but the open tournaments there aren't a lot of them anymore. You know, they've really, the last couple of years, however many years, people haven't done them, so they definitely could be bigger this year. You know, I think there's just different opportunities for guys to compete. You know, we'll have to just see where that all fits.
Could you see, David, in some of these tournaments where they start allowing you to have multiple entries at weights, just because, you know, if you're Oklahoma State or if you're Penn State or Iowa, I mean, you're going to have multiple guys in your room that are capable.
It's possible, you know.
It'd be fun,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can. I mean, there's certain, you know, there's some different things, whether it's a, you know, invitational or an open tournament. I mean, there's some different things in how many guys that you can enter in different tournaments, you know, so. I mean, honestly, like, we're in a state of college athletics, right, that it's ever changing, you know, so who really knows, you know, you just gotta kind of plan for what you do know now, you know, but I certainly could be a possibility.
You talked about freshmen. So many of them may be being more ready to go as true freshmen these days over the past 15 years or whatever. Do you think that's because that more and more of them got serious enough that they didn't just wrestle in their high school, in their class, they started wrestling more nationally and more like Iron Man and some of those tournaments? Has that helped cause that, do you think?
I mean, those tournaments always existed, so I think if you were good, you seek that stuff out. I think, you know, how long do you want to go back? There was a time when you just kind of, your state tournament was kind of the pinnacle, right? And then around my time coming through high school is when those bigger there were a lot more of those bigger tournaments that people look forward to. You know, and I would say probably, you know, I think the last couple classes, I definitely think the COVID time had an impact. I mean, those kids kind of like paused, and they were all good enough to kind of wrestle. A lot of those kids were wrestling college level tournaments while they were in high school, which historically wasn't really ever done before, you know, so I think that definitely had an effect on some of these younger kids doing really well. And just access, I mean, just coaching access. You just think about how many high-level coaches these kids have been around, you know, the emphasis in making the 17 under and the 20 under teams and getting that international experience, that definitely factors into it. So I think this wrestling has just evolved so much, and you know, once a standard's set, everyone kind of just expects that of themselves. Once you started seeing younger kids win, people weren't thinking, oh, I can win 4 or 5 years from now. I think people expect to come in and try and figure it out. So we've had more 4 and 5-time national champions in the last decade than, you know, you had ever historically. So you've obviously seen guys that have been able to figure it out. So yeah, I just think kids expect a lot of themselves, and they seek out great environments, and they're getting better and better.
3 things with match atmosphere and schedule. Schedule, can you tell us anything? Did see Arizona State release, they've got you coming in the night before the two teams played football in November, and then also comment on selling the reserve section out already on season tickets.
Yeah, so, you know, schedule, that's been one of those things, like, there's so much more to scheduling than what you would think. You know, it's a lot of back and forth and, I don't know, politics probably into it. So, which I think, I don't like that much about it, but yeah, I mean, the Big 12 schedule just got out. We just announced our, like, home and away Big 12 opponents. And then, I think coming out with some of our other scheduling stuff here soon, or tomorrow. And then the reserve seating, yeah, I mean, I should have sold out 2 years ago. You know, we were waiting for it. But no, it's great. I mean, it just shows the excitement of our program. It's to be in a place where people love wrestling the way they love it, and you're selling stuff out months before the season starts is pretty incredible. We want to keep doing that. Like, the fans are so valuable to what we do. I mean, there were opposing coaches that sat here last year and talked about this place and how hard it is to wrestle here, and that's what we want. We want to continue to build that, and no matter who the opponent is, like, you need to come up and support this team. This is an exciting team to watch wrestle. I mean, a very exciting team to watch wrestle. No matter who we are wrestling, I cherish these home matches. We as a program cherish these home matches. Like, we look forward to it. It is an amazing atmosphere, and it's because people are coming and supporting it. You know, it is special here. So, really looking forward to it. You know, we got some new things that we're going to add to our production this year, which I think is going to take it up another step. And you know, like I said, we have a really exciting team. So all of that is great. We just got to keep pushing it.
The Arizona State thing,
to wrestle?
Do what?
How do we get Penn State here to wrestle?
That's a great question. Hey, I'll tell you what, when it comes to Penn State, like, I'm saving one date on my schedule every single year for when they want to wrestle. So as soon as they say they want to wrestle, we'll do it. We'll go there. If they ever want to come back here, we don't really care. You know, we just want to wrestle the best teams, and we want to challenge ourselves. You know, I think the sport would really benefit from those two programs wrestling, with the history and the excitement of it. And if it doesn't happen, well, then the national tournament will be really exciting. But yeah, we'll save one date every year. So whenever they want to do it, we'll do it.
Hard to move on after that, but Landon obviously had a great freshman year, but it seems like he's even jumped levels in the offseason, winning that U20 bracket. He had a really competitive match with Rutherford. Just how have you seen him jump since winning the national championship?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely making jumps. Like, he's done a good job. Like, he was very driven this year when the season was over. Like, he was ready for what was coming next, and that's a great sign. I mean, not a surprise. You know, Landon's, pretty unique kid. So, looked great. Looked great at the 20 and under tournament. He wrestled really well at the senior level. I think, Zane's a really tough opponent, and Landon was right there. I mean, it's one of those situations. I think it was just an experience deal where Zane got put on the clock and scored right before he got put on the clock, right around that time. That kind of made that match. Went from being tied on criteria to being down 3-0. So, good experience for him. Obviously this 20 and under world championship for him here in a couple, let's say 2 weeks, will be another great experience for him. And he's expecting to go there and kick some butt. So, yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game. Like, I think one of the things about the program we talk about is like, man, winning one time is not a goal for anybody here. Like, we want to continue to set ourselves up for continued success. So, I think as soon as these guys, the mentality is, man, when that tournament was over, you're instantly getting ready for the next thing. We don't really have the luxury of sitting around and waiting and thinking about how cool last year was. We're on to the next year and how we can keep getting better and on to the next tournament. So he definitely has that philosophy, and he's definitely improved this summer.
So the goal is to win a national title, obviously, but Penn State's not going to fall back. You're going to have to catch them if you want to leapfrog them. Can you talk about that aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean, no question. We are trying to be the best team. We want to win the nationals. Like, I think the last couple of years, I think the expectation was, whatever the expectation was. I mean, our expectation that we wanted to go, we wanted to win, we wanted to compete. And I think this year is no different. I think we have a great team. We got to keep getting better. They have a great team. There's a lot of other great teams out there. I think that one of the biggest mistakes, honestly, is you hyper focus on one thing. That's not what it's about. It's about the journey and the process, and it's about living a standard and a lifestyle of excellence. And in doing so, we're pursuing being the best that we can be. And listen, like, in order to do that, we probably have to be the best team in history. What a great opportunity that we have ahead of ourselves. Like, that's why I came to Oklahoma State. That's why these kids come to Oklahoma State. Like, we want to be the best, and that's what we're focused on doing, and that's the sentiment of these young kids, and it makes it exciting to go to work every day.
Every year there's always, not just here, but especially among younger wrestlers, where there's talk of changing weights because they grow and mature and get bigger physically. If you have anybody like that this year, do you have a date in your mind where by this date we need to make sure we know who's at what weight? Is that something you plan on?
I'll tell you what, like, sometimes you get in here and the questions aren't awesome. We've actually had really good questions today, so you guys did a good job. Yeah, I mean, that's real. Definitely that's a real thing. I think my philosophy is guys are going to go the weight class they think is their best chance to be a national champ. That's what it is. It's not where do you make the lineup. That's not why you come here. That's not what we do. It's not making the lineup is not what the goal is. The goal is to win the nationals. The goal is to be the best at what you do. So you got to go the weight class you think that gives you the best chance to win the nationals. Sometimes that's what is the best weight class for the team, or like, there's a lot of variables that go into it. But I think the weight class the kids feel best at, that's the weight class they got to give themselves the best chance. And then if maybe things adjust after that, we'll kind of see where that goes. So right now, I think guys are just kind of figuring that out. Obviously, we've had a great summer of wrestling, and it's time. I kind of told them that. It's like school's starting. When you think about September 1st, you're probably 6 weeks away from probably making scratch for the first time. Our first competition is November 1st. We have an invitational here November 1st. We have a couple teams coming in. We'll wrestle here, kick guys some matches, and so that's coming up pretty quick. So, starting to have those conversations and seeing what guys think is best for them, and typically that's what is best.
You brought in 2 transfers. Just how have those guys sort of integrated into the team? And you've obviously got a good team. What about a guy makes you say, okay, I want to go get this guy to the pool?
Yeah, I mean, I think you think about that very first year, we talked about that, and I think the portal is definitely an extension of your recruiting. When we first got here, we were obviously in a big recruiting phase, in all aspects, and now with having 2 really good recruiting classes that have come in with, great kids, you're just kind of thinking about where do you need You know, where maybe with its depth or, you know, maybe it's injuries, like there's just different factors that go into it, but ultimately it's really no different. Like the people that do the best here are really the guys that really want to be here, you know, like, and I think when guys really want to be here, they're here for the right reasons. You know, I would say that definitely with Bennett and Lorenzo. You know, I think they're both great kids that love wrestling and like really felt like, hey, for me to make the best jump in my career, like this is where I need to be. And those are the kind of guys that make a great culture, make a great team. So yeah, I mean, they've done a great job, and you know, every year is a year-to-year basis. There's no like, hey, this is the formula this is what we're gonna do type deal, but just continue to find the right people that fit what we're trying to do, and you know, that makes your best team.
Talk about fit, trying to what you do. It's not good enough just to win matches around here, doesn't seem like. You want your kids to keep scoring throughout the entire match. Can you talk about that aspect?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to that, just life of excellence, you know, like, man, expectation is not to go out and win matches. You know, it's not what we train to do. We don't train to just go win a match. You know, we're trying to separate ourselves. That's the way that you can have consistent results too. You know, the less close matches that you have, well, the more consistent results you're gonna have, and it's what it does take to win the Nationals. You know, like I think bonus points is an area that, you know, having a young team last year, like them doing what they did was fantastic. I think the next step is like expecting to take another layer of separation and separate yourself. So, you know, that's an area, definitely an area of emphasis, and that's what it's gonna take. It's what it takes. Like, you know, your goal should be bigger than just winning the national tournament. You know, it should be bigger than just trying to win matches. And when you're doing that, other things kind of fall into place. So it's just what we kind of stand for and what we're working towards.
What were your thoughts on Jax this summer? Obviously, he's in high school and you transition to college, and you go back into high level freestyle and come up short at final X. Just kind of what's the message to him this summer? Kind of what's been those takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just kind of rewind Jax's career, you know, like he was in, I think in his 8th grade year, he was in Who's Number One. You know, he's wrestling. He's kind of always, whatever big match that you can kind of think of, that's kind of what he's been in for a pretty long period of time. Wrestled in the Olympic trials as a sophomore in high school, made a world team as a junior in high school, reclassifies and wins a national title as a senior in high school. You know, so it's a lot of things that go on, you know. So I think this summer would love for him to make that team, but I think taking a step back probably, and, you know, he's got big goals, you know, probably a step away. He's never had that before, you know. As much as he wants to be wrestling, you know, sometimes as coach, you gotta kind of tell guys, hey, maybe it's time to take a step back and refocus and get ready for what's coming, you know. So yeah, I mean, Marcus is a great kid, really good wrestler. You know, they've had a lot of a lot of challenges in the past, and it was very close. Jax wrestled really disciplined and came up a little short, you know. So, but now he's can refocus to get ready for the season coming up, and you know, he's got a kid loves to wrestle. And he's just kind of find ways to continue to get better, and that's it's nice to have people that are challenging you, you know, because that makes you want to keep getting better.
Something that was sort of surprising about this roster we were handing Connor Doucette's on it is he back with you guys this year?
Yeah, Connor has one more year left.
Did you know that going into last year? Is that something that you sort of figured out this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, you know, there's that window of guys getting, you know, an extra year before that 5-5 started. And, you know, that when Wyatt came in, he was hurt for most of the season, and you know, was able to get that last year. So yeah, so it's good to have him around. Connor is just a great leader, really awesome person to have in our room, wrestling every single day, and to have on our team, you know, so we're excited to have him, you know, for another year.
What's it look like when he and Deshaun get on the mat and go after each other?
Yeah, we're blessed. I mean, we got Wyatt Hendrickson, who trained to go win a world title, right? We got Connor Doucette, you know, as an All-American last year. We got Drayshawn, and those guys are scrapping. They're so good for each other. I mean, they're great for Drayshawn. They're giving him a lot of experience and a lot of really valuable information, you know. So yeah, we are. Typically, when you have a good heavyweight, you're like, you can't find a person for them to wrestle, and it's so nice that they have each other to. I mean, you're talking about really high level training, and it's what it takes to be great. So yeah, I mean,
We understand Doucette did get the extra year. He is eligible.
Yeah.
I was asking Jay Carl, and this may go down as the worst question of the day. I had to get something in. we've had nationals here in Oklahoma City. I don't know that we've ever had one in Tulsa, maybe one, but yeah, one. I mean, are you anxious to get, there's a new arena going up in Oklahoma City. Are you anxious to get the NCAA's back in the state sometime?
Sure, yeah, that would be awesome. That would be really awesome. I'll tell you what, wrestling would love if we had like a home field advantage NCAA tournament right here. They would love that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know how that goes. I mean, I know it kind of bids out over 4 years, and I think we have some. I don't know where it kind of stops the bidding process, but it'd be great to get one back here somewhere. That'd be fantastic. I think there's a lot of talk in it being kind of like a centralized location and trying to get a staple place. I think they've talked about that. There's some good options like Kansas City, St. Louis, things like that. So that's above what I focus on. Just tell us where to go, we'll go and wrestle.
Just a couple more questions.
To the untrained eye, the one that doesn't understand quite the detail of all the wrestling moves, can you talk about what makes Sergio Vega so good?
Well, I think, you think about a kid, freshman coming in there last year, really a lot of his matches were just, the guy never stops wrestling. I mean, think about how many compromising situations that he was in, and he just found a way to keep wrestling. So, pretty tough kid. I would say tough. He goes hard, and when you have things like a cradle and you're good on top, those are just X factors, where you've seen matches where they were close and he was able to put a guy away. He's flexible, so. Yeah, I think the next step for him is just, a lot of his, he was obviously cutting a lot of weight last year, is just how can he score some easier points. A lot of his stuff was pretty hard scrambles, long scrambles, like how do you score some easier points, make his life a little bit easier. But yeah, I just think it's grit, a lot of grit for him, a lot of toughness, and that's what it takes.
When you're talking about guys moving weights, earlier Casey went up for U23s pretty significantly. Just sort of how have you seen him handle that extra weight?
Good, another guy. Obviously Casey and Sergio last year, we spent a lot of time with them, helping them with their weights. So, Casey's just he's definitely a little bit bigger now, but he was cutting a lot of weight, so honestly doesn't really look that much different to me than what he did. I just think he's a high energy guy, but it's hard for him to wrestle with a lot of energy when he was, last year. So I think now he just has a lot more, I would just say energy. I thought he wrestled pretty good this summer, made a little mistake, kind of the U20 deal, U23s, but that's also kind of Casey sometimes. So, got to keep working on getting better. But I would say in general, just I would say his adjustment to getting a little bigger has gone well.
We'll go one more.
D. Lockett's a young man who has a chance to win a national title, certainly become an All-American. Can you talk about him in his freshman year and the transition to his second year?
Yeah, I remember him running out for Stanford. Got a returning All-American. He's the hometown kid. We were sitting in the back, and he's pretty locked in. He's running out there, and he didn't have his headgear on. I'm like, dude. He's like, oh crap, Tyler, my headgear's in my locker. Tyler's running back there. He's putting his headgear on, just running out there. And I'm like, oh man, I wonder how this is gonna go. And he just has a great match, and he did a lot of little things to win that match, and just had a really great start to the season. So I just think he hit a little bit of a kind of like a little difficulty there towards the end. I wish maybe he would have hit it in the beginning of the year, and I could have made some adjustments. Just kind of credit to him being really good. But I think he's had a great, just rebound. It's hard. It's hard when you've been really good your whole life, and then it's really kind of the first time he's ever really failed at something in his mind. So it's hard. It's hard to not get what you want, but then you got to kind of figure out a way to get what you want. So super talented guy. He's had a good summer, and just really getting ready for this next year. So
What was it like being in a UFC corner this summer?
it was pretty crazy. Yeah, honestly, that deal, in the White House, it seemed like it was like being on a movie set. Just the amount of production. You're walking through the White House, like you're running out to the cage, on the lawn. Was pretty wild, and it was sweet that Diego got the knockout too. Because after the first round, I was a little nervous, and but no, he's just a gamer. He just kind of turned it up, and yeah, that was a really cool experience. It was really cool.
Thanks, Coach.